Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Vaibhav Katel. In this video, as you can see that the title displays that this is the introduction to C++. So the title of this video will be the introduction to C++. So let us start. So what is in C++? C++ is basically a computer language which is used to develop programs or logics. So C++ is used in various platforms too, like Android Studio and various other platforms. So let us start. Basically, C++ is object-oriented programming language. Object-oriented programming language means that the language which includes the desecrating type of, or we can say, a hidden object. Suppose I am a programmer and I want to develop a program in a hidden way and in a smart way. So I'll be using object-oriented programming language rather than a programming approach. So let me tell you, there are two type of programming languages: procedural programming languages and object-oriented programming languages. So let me explain you the difference between verbally. So the conventional programming approach is like it divides the problems into functions, whereas object-oriented programming language divides the problem into a number of entities called objects, as I am saying that object-oriented programming language. So in the C language, which is a procedural or a structure oriented programming language, it represents a non-real world modeling. Like we can say that it follows a top to down approach, or whether we type an object or not, it will run a program line by line. Whereas in C++, it represents a real modeling and a bottom to up approach, whether you can say that in C++ we write the main function in the bottom side and classes in the upper side. So it is a bottom up approach. Oh well, you'll be understanding this concept in my next lectures clearly. So basically, object-oriented programming languages has various other types too. In this video, we will be going to do various OOPS concepts too. OOPS is object-oriented programming system. Okay, so let us start. So there are basically 6 types of object-oriented concepts. The one is the class, object, abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and dynamic binding. So what are objects? They are the key to understand the object-oriented programming language. Let me explain you with an example. Suppose you are driving a car. So a car is an object. Okay, a car is an object because you are driving it. Or let me explain you with the marker. Suppose you are writing on the board. Now what is the object that you are writing through the board? That's a marker. So objects are basically the key to understand, or the way to execute a work or a program. So let me sum up the objects. Objects has its own identity, attributes, and behaviors. Like an object has its own identity, I can tell you that I'm writing with the marker. I'm driving a car, train, or plane. So you can see that object has its own identity, whether it's a car, it's a marker, or we can say a train. Okay. So data functions are binding together to form an object. Well, this is a further concept and I'll be going to teach you now. So whether you can remember it for now, and I'll be teaching you in the further types. So object is the system communication with using concept of message passing. So as I tell you that it's a bottom up approach in this system. So objects are always declared in the bottom of the program, which is known as the main function. Okay. So what is a class? Class includes 2 types in it. We can say the class is divided into 2 types. It's attributes and behaviors. So attributes includes 2 types: age, name, and height. Whereas behavior includes walking, speaking, eating. As I explained you with an example, I'm driving a car. I'm driving is a behavior and a car is an attribute, or we can say an object. Or let me explain you more formally that Rohan is driving a car, or XYZ is driving a car. So XYZ is a attribute, as whether it's a name, driving is a behavior, and object is a car. Okay. Why we use classes? Suppose I'm running a program that includes 2 types. One is the addition and the other is the subtraction. Okay. So why we use classes? So as you can see that I am using the word classes to generalize similar type of objects. In this, I'm going to tell you that, let me to explain you with an example that, suppose addition and subtraction, they are two similar type of objects with two variables a and b. Okay, in one class I'll be going to do the addition work, and in the other class I'll be going to do the subtraction work. Yeah, I can know that we can do it together too, but that's how don't we use classes. That if suppose we are compiling a very long program or writing a very long program, we have classes to generalize and helps us to summarize the various type of objects very kindly. I'll be explaining you within program. So difference between a class and an object. So real world identities, that the difference between the class and object is kind of weird. So I'll be explaining you very verbally, and I'll be making you very helpful that how this the difference between class and object works. Let us start. So object, data and functions, they are real world identities. Okay, let me tell you. The left one is the object and the right one is a class. Okay, so the objects are real world identities. Let me explain you that. What is the real world identities? The real world identity means that it has a logical, or suppose the objects are called through a class. Okay, so they are real world identities that they really execute. Whether class, it doesn't execute at all. And suppose let me explain you the program. What is the difference between a class and an object? So guys, okay, I'm currently using the code blocks as my IDE in the C++. So let us execute the program. The shortcut I used for creating a new file was Ctrl+Shift+, and you can open a new file from here. Ctrl+Shift and okay, so let's start. So these are basically the header files for C++. Hashtag include iostream. To make it more efficient, I should firstly save it. Save it to the untitled7.cpp. So the CPP is mainly the final extension for the C++. Whenever you are going to execute a program in C++, you will have to save it with the extension named as .cpp. Okay. So it's hashtag include. Konya.h. So these are basically the header files of the C++. Whenever we are going to write a program, we need to put the header files in it. Let us start. These are known as the header files. So basically, iostream stands for input and output functions. iostream is equal to input and output functions. Or basically, you can see that iostream is a necessity for C++. This is also a header file Konya.h, which is used for console input and output functions. Input and output functions. Okay, so basically these are known as the header files of the C++. Let us proceed further. Okay, now basically I'll be using namespace std, because I don't want to give any further errors, because CodeBlocks is an IDE where you have to use a primary expression tag which is known as std. Okay, I'll be explaining you in my further quick lectures. All you need to do is whenever you are running a code in CodeBlocks, you will have to use this statement line. Okay, let's go. Okay, so let me create a class first. As I told you that I'm going to explain the difference between class and objects. Let me define the class A. Here I'm declaring a class with the variable name A. Just go ahead. It's known as defining or declaring a class. You can say whatever you want, it's just like my practical knowledge. Declare class. Okay, now here we go. We are going to declare two integer values over here, and t stands as an integer value, and a and b. Oh, I declared a over the further. In C++ you can't create more variables in one or the another form. So let this be C. Okay, make it good. Yeah, that's good. So int b and c. Here I declared the two integer values with b and c, which means that b and c can only be declared by a value named as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or any positive or negative number. Okay. The int data type basically obtains 2 bytes. Okay. Basically the int data type has a size of 2 bytes in the memory allocation. Well, this is a further concept. You don't need to do that, but I'm just defining it for your general knowledge. So firstly, let me put another thing which is known as public. This thing is used to define the class or this whole code in the public form that we can execute over down. I'll let you do this over in the down. Okay. Let me declare this function as addition. Okay. Now here I'm declaring a function named as addition. Void is a data type which returns a 0 return value or no return value. Okay, so cin is an input function, which means that it is a IO stream function which helps us to initialize or give the value to b and c. This thing is known as the insertion operators, b and c. Okay, to make it more good, let us put some output for the user. Cout enter and b. Okay, now here cout, it is a function it is an output function which is used to print a print line or a command line on the command prompt. Okay, that sounds good. Now here, firstly the user will see this, enter two numbers a and b, then he will be putting a number b and c. Okay, so the b and c, whichever number he will be putting, the value will get assigned to this variable. Okay, now let us print it out. Okay, that's good. Now here cout. Now I want these numbers to be added. So the addition of two numbers is a plus b. Okay, basically this is the output function. This will be the message. The addition of the two numbers is a plus b, or we didn't use the word a, so here will be c, or to make it more accurate, let this be b plus c. Okay, these things is known as abstraction marker, and these things are known as insertion markers. Okay, now let us execute this program. So basically this whole thing was a class. This whole thing defined under this thing, which is known as a class. Now here I am going to define an object, int name. Now here I am using an int as a data type to declare a function well known as main. I guess everyone knows who is in coding. Okay, now let me define or declare an object. So here what did I use? I used the word class A over here. So I want to define an object with A as a object. Okay, now here let this be t. Now here what did I do? I defined a class. I defined an object with the data type as class A, which means that t only the D letter includes all this content. Okay, so let's go. C out. Oops, sorry. D dot addition. Now basically what did I do is I used D to go inside this class and execute this function, and in this function we have these lines. Okay, I guess you get it. This thing is used for putting the input to the function by pressing the enter key. Okay, now let us execute it. Let us see if we find any errors or not. See, enter two numbers A and B. I put 1, 2, and the addition of two numbers is 3. As you can see that we did it. Oh, one more thing. Just do it here and execute it here. 1, 2, and as you can see the output comes as 3. Well, now here this thing is known as an object which has been declared in the bottom function. Now let me tell you how this C++ function runs. The C++ runs in the bottom aperture as I told you before. So here it is. The function starts from here. We define a class with D. The function goes over in the class A. Now here D with the dot operator goes with the addition. In addition, there are 3 lines. C out, which means print this thing, and then C in, which means we want to have an input from the user, 2 variables B and C. I put it the 2 variable. Now put it the 2 variables and run it. 1, 2. Now the first value will be turned over to B and the number 2 will be turned over to C. Now the addition of the two numbers will work as like this. Oh, what the hell happened? Okay, so let's go here. Addition of two numbers will work as, let me press enter and we'll see the outcome 3. Addition of two numbers is B plus C. Okay, sounds good. I hope you understand this program. Now let's just go back to the difference between the class and the object. So I told you in the difference between the class and object with the program. So this is okay for this video. See you in the next video. Bye bye. Take care everyone.